What is going on, guys? Welcome to the last and final team reveal of my top 5 list of teams that you're going to have a blast with if you take them into franchise mode. Of course, we've got the Carolina Panthers here in the NFC South. We're going to be going over the salaries, look at that situation. We'll take a look at the overalls. We'll take a look at their superstar X factors for guys that have one, and really what this team is going to be able to provide you for in franchise mode. So let's get right into it, guys. And personally, I think the Carolina Panthers are going to have a great season. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that. I feel like they're going kind of under the radar, kind of flying under the radar a little bit. The Saints are getting a ton of love. The Falcons are a good bounce back candidate right now, but the Panthers, they've got a good team. They got a good core group of players, and we're going to be looking at that right here, right now. Let's talk about the quarterback position. Cam Newton, 84 overall player. He's got 2 years left on his deal, and it's a good thing that the Panthers addressed backup quarterback, that they can actually work with Will Grier, as Newton is now 30 years old. He's getting a little bit older. It makes sense that they're going to try to groom Will Grier into becoming the quarterback of the future. Whether that pans out yet, you never know, especially with rookie quarterbacks. You never know, youngsters like that. But Cam Newton is no threat to be losing his job. But you can see he does have that superstar X factor, 84 overall here. Freight train. Freight trains are relentless runners who refuse to go down on first contact. When they enter the zone, this ability increases their chance to break the next tackle. So not the first one, but increases their chance at the next one. So that's a really good one. I don't know if... That's the thing. You never want your quarterback taking hits. You never want your quarterback to be scrambling out of the pocket and taking a ton of hits. But you know what? Cam has been able to do it. He's a big dude. He can take the hit. He can take the brunt of it. I think Cam's a really underrated quarterback, and he doesn't get a lot of love. Outside of Carolina, people always talk about how he's not that great of a passer. He's this, he's that. He's always hurt, his shoulder, blah, blah, blah. Cam Newton's been a really solid quarterback for his entire career, and we'll take a look at the numbers here, but he's a good one. He's a good one. Superstar abilities, not the X Factor ability, but the superstar ability. Escape artist, passer with this ability, faster and more responsive to user input, which is good when you're trying to get out of the pocket and escape, which when we look at the offensive line, you're not going to have to do that a whole lot, I don't think, and especially with the wide receivers you guys are going to have at your disposal, it's good stuff. Fast break, passers with this ability immediately respond to user input, and defenders react more slowly on designed quarterback run play. So that's not just scrambling out, that's an actual designed quarterback run play, whether that's going to be a read option, whether that's going to be a quarterback draw, anything like that. An RPO, I would think an RPO, but I think it'd have to be a designed RPO for the quarterback to run with it. Anchored extender, while in the pocket, passers with this ability are almost guaranteed to break the first sack attempt by blitzing defensive back. Not a linebacker, not a DL, a cornerback, a DB. So let's take a look at the stats for Cam Newton real quick and see how good has Cam Newton been in his entire career. So lately, about 2016, 2017, he's been decent. But it's been the completion percentage that's really given those people kind of the fuel to the fire. He has not been that great of a passer because of the completion percentage. But granted, Cam Newton has never really been in an offense where he's had a lot of receivers to help him. And I could go back and I could look at the roster and the Wikipedia of the Carolina Panthers in these seasons, and it hasn't been that great. It has not been that great. But when we look at his receivers this season, and we'll talk about the running backs in just a quick second, there's some real good talent here. There's some really good talent right here. DJ Moore, in his second season as an NFL player, he might break out this year. Curtis Samuel out of Ohio State. And we got Torrey Smith, the deep threat. Chris Hogan, Super Bowl caliber type of player, right? Jarius Wright. Aldrick Robinson has had some success out in Kansas City. This is a pretty decent group of wide receivers. And then when you look at the running back situation where you got the power back and Cameron Artis-Payne out of Auburn, and then Christian McCaffrey doing what he does, this offense is dynamic. And you can pretty much do whatever you want to do with this offense. Kind of like the Houston Texans, where you've had Hopkins, Keke Coutee, Will Fuller, Lamar Miller. You got some options, Deshaun Watson. You got some options with the Texans. I think you have more options with the Carolina Panthers. And kind of like what I talked about a little bit earlier, when you look at the contract situation, they're in a really, really good spot. They've got their best players signed for long term. And when I say long term, I mean more than 2 years. So you look at McCaffrey, he's at 2. I think Cameron Newton was at 2. So you still got some room to wiggle with them. DJ Moore, 3. Samuel, 2. Veteran, 30 years old. 1-year deals with Chris Hogan and Torrey Smith. Jarius Wright's in there for 2. So it seems like the Panthers have a really good idea about what they're doing in the front office and how to build a football team. And we'll look at the defense also. I mean, look at the tight end situation. You got Ian Thomas out of Indiana. He was really a highly touted prospect coming up into the NFL. Manhurts, and then Greg Olsen obviously being really, really good himself. This is going to be a really tough Carolina Panthers team, guys. Star dev trait, progression rate here. Let's take a look actually at Christian McCaffrey's superstar X Factor abilities here. He's got the satellite. Some running backs have the talent to be elite receivers. When they enter the zone, their ability to increase their success rate on possession and rack catches against single coverage. Backfield master will line up in the backfield. Players with this ability have access to 4 additional hot routes, better route running, and improved catching. That's huge. That's huge. Christian McCaffrey being usered up like that in the passing game, money. Absolute money. Spin cycle. I like that name. Ball carriers with this ability have faster spin animations. So, you know what? McCaffrey's going to be a beast for anybody that's going to be using him. You're going to have a ton of fun using guys like that. Then when we look at the receivers again, just real quick, you're not even spending that much money on your wide receivers. It's a cheaply put together group, but it's going to give you a lot of bang for your buck. So, guys, I'm telling you, if you go with the Carolina Panthers offense, you're going to have a ton of fun. Then we got Darrell Williams from, I believe it was Oklahoma. 4-year pro, star dev trait here, 80 overall player. That's nice. And then you got Greg Little. Greg Little, 21 years old, was just drafted out of Ole Miss. He was getting a lot of high praise too. So again, the Panthers front office, they know what they're doing. You've got a 27-year-old player in Darrell Williams, probably going to be asking for a lot more money next season. Might as well groom the future in Greg Little, 6 years younger. It's smart. It's smart. Then you got Van Roten here to 62. That's probably the weakest spot on the O-line. And then you got Matt Paradis, who played for the Denver Broncos, coming over as their best-rated offensive lineman at an 88. 88, and you've got him locked up for long-term with 3 years. You've got Turner here as well, an 83 with 3 years on his contract. I think he's making the most money at $14 million. Yeah, they brought in Paradis at an 88, and he's not even making as much money as Turner is at the 83 overall. You got Hearn right here as a 54. And then you got Moton at an 80. He's making $1 million as an 80 out of Western Michigan. Star dev trait. Like, this offensive line is legit. It's really legit. Again, you're going to have a ton of fun throwing the ball. Cam Newton's going to have a ton of time back there to throw. And then Christian McCaffrey and Cameron Artis-Payne is going to be powering through that O-line, guys. It's going to be a ton of fun. And that defense, like I said, I think this is the best part of this entire team is the defense. So I think Madden got this wrong because you got Kawan Short, an 85 overall player. Star dev trait out of Purdue. Looking pretty solid. Gerald McCoy, just coming over here from the Tampa Bay Bucks. 86 overall player. You see what I'm getting at here, guys? This is a really solid defense, and Ron Rivera might get back to that identity of the Carolina Panthers, being good on defense. Dontari Poe being the nose tackle. I'm assuming that's what they're going to be running here, is that 3-4 defense, and kind of shaking things up a little bit, because you got Brian Burns from Florida State, who lit up the combine. Bruce Irvin, we talked about him. They're going to be getting this is the biggest thing. They're going to be getting cheap but productive, really productive, highly productive contributions from their young guys who aren't making a ton of money. And that's really how you win. You're getting contributions from guys that aren't making a ton of money because you're just saving. You're able to sign guys, your stars, to bigger contracts to keep them there, and then your depth guys, your starters in other positions are able, like Brian Burns here and Irvin, aren't making a crap ton of money, and they're going to help you out immediately. Luke Kuechly, obviously, the best player. I would say he's the best player on the football team, on the Panthers team. They got a three-headed monster here between Kuechly, Cam Newton, and Christian McCaffrey. Ratings, 96 tackle, 99 play recognition, 99 awareness, 97 pursuit. It's just an absolute beast. Shutdown, superstar X-Factor ability. Shutdown defenders have the talent to erase receivers from the game. When they enter the zone, their coverage is tighter and their interceptions are more frequent on contested catchers. Enforcer doesn't allow broken tackles with the hit stick on ball carriers. And then secure tackler defenders with this ability have an increased success rate when using conservative or diving tackles. So obviously tackle machine. You got Shaq Thompson, which again, it's like I talked about, getting contributions from guys that aren't making a ton of money. Actually, I take that back. He's almost making about the same as Luke Kuechly. That's insane. $9 million for Shaq Thompson right there. But it's still a really good defense, a really good linebacking core as well. Mario Addison, that he can stand up, can sit down at the end spot. Speed rusher side, looking pretty good. And then the cornerbacks. This is a position that doesn't get a lot of love on the Panthers team, but they're young. They're young. Cockrell, Bradbury's pretty good. You got Dante Jackson out of LSU. Go Tigers. And they got Seymour here at 25 years old. And then you got your depth there with Elder and Elliott. So it's a decent defensive backfield, at least with the corners. You got Trey Boston, who's a really good player. I think that 79 rating is a little bit harsh for him, but he's still pretty good. And then Eric Reed, they're at 76, signed a 3-year contract. And that's going to round it out for your Carolina Panthers. That's your contract situation. I don't want to skip out on Graham Gano. He's a very good kicker. And then Pilardi there at the punter spot. So guys, if you want to take the Carolina Panthers into your franchise, you are set up pretty nicely. There's not really anything to really worry about. Legitimately, there's not really anything to worry about. You've got a good base. You got a good roster. There's not really any holes to fill. The cap space is relatively friendly with 21.4 mil left to go. And really what you're drafting for is you're drafting based on insurance, and you're drafting based on contingency plans, I guess you'd say, in case you can't re-sign a guy like Christian McCaffrey, in case you run out of money for a Greg Olsen, in case you run out of money for a Luke Kuechly eventually down the line. Those are things you might have to worry about, or things really far down in the future. And that's why you draft, and that's why you sign guys to kind of take into account for those things. So the Panthers, you can win right now. You're not rebuilding the Panthers. You can win right now. You can compete for that NFC South. And that's the other part that I'm going to get to you guys right here, right now. We're going to talk about the schedule, about the NFC South, and why that would be a really fun division to compete in. So obviously part of the reason why I picked the Carolina Panthers to be a fun team is because obviously, like we talked about, their salary cap situation is in a good spot. Their roster is in a really good spot to compete right now. And they're a really fun team to try to compete with. You got a ton of playmakers on both sides of the football. Be a really fun team to take into your franchise. And plus, another reason is the schedule. They take on the Rams to kick the season off. And then they've got Tampa Bay Buccaneers who kind of trying to find their way with Bruce Arians and Jameis Winston trying to bounce back and turn his career around. You got the Cardinals on the road with Kyler Murray. Texans are going to be tough. Jaguars with Nick Foles, that's a storyline. Buccaneers again. I would think that they're going to win 2 games there against the Buccaneers. Get a bye week. 49ers, Titans on the come up. Packers with Aaron Rodgers. Falcons and Saints. These are really crucial games here at the very end of the season. I mean, we're pretty much in the second half here. We got week 11 against the Falcons, 12 against the Saints, and then back to the Falcons in 14, and then the final week of the season is against the Saints at home. That might determine if you're going to be a playoff team or not. Maybe it's a wild card. Maybe it comes down to that's the game you got to win against the Saints in order to win the NFC South. So as far as the season prediction goes, this is not an easy schedule at all. I would think that I'm going to take the Panthers in this game against the Rams. I'm just going to do it. I think the defense, especially being at home against the Rams, might take care of business. I'm going to say they're going to start 3-0, possibly 4-0. I mean, I'm serious. They might even get to 5-0, 6-0. they might get to 6-0. And I might be a little bit too high on the Panthers right now, and I might be just smoking something, but just looking at how this pans out, I just said it wasn't an easy schedule, but it looks like they're going to have a shot to go undefeated here. 6-0, undefeated at least up until, geez. Maybe I take this back. Maybe the schedule isn't really that hard. Outside of the Rams and Texans, up till about week, I'd say about week 8, so halfway through the season, then it kind of turns up a notch. It kind of gets a little bit tougher because the only true tests here for me in this first half of the season would probably be the Rams and the Texans. Everything else, the Jaguars might give them a little bit of a run, but that first half of the season doesn't look too intimidating, but the 49ers will give them some hell here. Going on the road, Jimmy G, Kyle Shanahan offense. Tennessee Titans could surprise. Packers are obviously going to be tough with Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur. Falcons, Saints, Redskins I'm not worried about, but Falcons, Seahawks, Colts, Saints. Like, that's a tough stretch because the Colts with Andrew Luck are going to be tough. The Saints are obviously going to be tough with the Falcons as well. So the pathway to success for the Panthers, get off to a big lead in the NFC South by taking care of business here in the first half, and then kind of just letting the chips fall where they may in the second half. That's going to be it for why would the Carolina Panthers be fun to bring into your franchise mode. Let me know if you guys are going to decide to bring the Carolina Panthers into your franchise, and let me know kind of what happens with it. Or have you already played the first season with the Panthers, and did you run into this buzzsaw here? And what happened? Did you make the playoffs? Like, how did you perform? Did Christian McCaffrey do well for you? Let me know in the comments. I love talking football. I love to get that conversation started with you guys. So, guys, leave a like if you like this thing, and I will see you guys in the next Madden 20 upload, whatever that may be. I'm thinking about pulling a franchise coming here soon. We'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, I'm just real busy with other things, MLB The Show, NCAA, that kind of stuff. So we'll see what happens. But I'll see you guys in the next one. As always, peace.